Give a warm welcome to CEO and Editor-in-Chief at Mediehuset Sermitsiaq, Masaana Egede, and co-founder and CEO of MediaCatch, Lars Damsgaard Nielsen.
Hi. So Greenland is a long way from Denmark in many ways. It's 4,000 kilometers away. It's 5 hours of flight. It's 3 airports you have to go through to get to the capital in Greenland, which is called Nuuk. It looks like this time of year. It's very different. Our culture is also very different. And so is our language. This is one word. So it's very different from Danish. It's very different from the Nordic languages, and it's nothing that you can compare. Experts have said in many, many years that we will never have a translation between Greenlandic and the Nordic languages that is sufficient, but we do now. But first we have to kind of grasp the context of why this is important. We have a shared history with Denmark, and that means that in Greenland we are taught in Danish from the elementary school all the way through into our business lives. So the higher you go from elementary school and upwards, it becomes more and more Danish. So you're taught in another language than your original language. And all of the public sector, the business community, the government, all of it works mostly in Danish. So everything is translated. All our legislature, all our publishing and whatever is written in Danish mostly, and then it's translated into Greenlandic. And that takes many times back and forth, and it's very, very expensive. It's estimated that in Greenland that they translate for 300 million Danish kroners a year, and that's a lot for a place with 56,000 people only. So we publish content. We have a website. It's the most visited news site in Greenland. We publish newspapers, the biggest newspapers in Greenland. We also publish magazines. We also make airline magazines, and we make a lot of other content. And everything we publish is in 2 languages. It's Danish and Greenlandic. And that means that we also have to wait for the translation before we can publish. And when we're competing on time and clicks, this is a huge, it's not an advantage for us, because sometimes a headline story can be delayed about 2 to 4 hours before it comes on, because we don't have translators available, because there's so much to translate. That's a horrible thing when you're competing. So by coincidence, our chairman of the board, who's also here, stumbled into Lars from MediaCatch and told the story about what we're doing, and they actually told us that they might have a solution for this. And to be honest, when I first heard this, I was like all other Greenlandic people, this is not going to happen. This cannot be done. I know translation is going forward, but our language is so difficult, so I didn't really believe it. But then again, they were adamant, and they said, we can do it. And then we went into to a good collaboration. Then we took 20,000 articles from Greenlandic journalism through time that we had written in Danish or Greenlandic and translated between the 2. And they were side by side, and we delivered it to MediaCatch, and they made this. So this is in Danish, but it's very precise, and it's actually very, very, very good. There you go.
Yeah, and how did we do it, and what did we do? I'll explain a bit about that, but before I do so, I will give you a very, very short introduction to what we do at MediaCatch. At MediaCatch, we basically help our clients make strategic decisions based on facts instead of opinions in the space of brand surveillance, diversity, and the creator economy. And on top of that, we also do tailored AI solutions for media and brands. And it was in this case that we came in contact with Masaana from Sermitsiaq. And we were very happy to take part in this project where we actually able to do something really good with AI. Yeah, we're proud that we have been a part of making the first real high quality text-to-text translation between Danish and Greenlandic, and also Greenlandic and Danish. And what we did in more detail is that we first met, I think it was 3 months before Christmas, and we had this discussion about what can we do it, and is it possible? And basically 3 months later, the first internal version of this tool launched just before Christmas, because we had the conversation. I remember that, we have some problems covering the shifts in Christmas for our translators. Can we get it up and running before? So it took us less than 3 months to get this up and running. And basically what we did in more detail, I need to press harder, is that we trained a task-specific medium language model using an encoder and decoder transformer architecture. And that means that this model is really good at one thing, not conversational, not answering questions, not doing anything, but to understand context and the text in that context and translate it to another language. And in this case, it's between Greenlandic and Danish and Greenlandic. So it's both ways. And as Masaana already said, they possessed a trove of training data, a gold mine, I would say, of a lot of articles that they already had translated. So we took all this data, we got it in a dump, then we cleaned it up, made it ready for training, and in that process, one of the things that we did was that we paired different sentences from between Greenlandic and Danish and Danish and Greenlandic. And in that way, we could train the model to understand not only specific words, but also the context of these words. And since Greenlandic is such a difficult language to understand with a machine, it was important for us that we also had the context around the words, because you couldn't not just do word-by-word translation and something like that, because as you saw, the longest word in Greenlandic is a very long word. So there's a lot of context around that we needed to get right. And sometimes a sentence in Denmark could be 2 lines, but in Greenlandic it might be 3 words, so it might be very much longer. So we gave all this training data to the model and to the transformer, and we had it over. It was cooking for some time. We made different adjustments with it through the time and new versions of it. And while we were cooking the model, we built also the service behind it, as we just saw before in the video. Yeah, and the most important here, actually, you probably are wondering how good is the quality, basically, because that's what it comes down to. So what we did with the evaluation, we have evaluated the model we have a blur score, which is a technical score, which is pretty boring. But more importantly, we have evaluated with human translators as well. And we have been doing it with blind evaluation. And that means that the translators who have seen sentences from us didn't know what kind of algorithm was behind it, because we have also evaluated our model together with GPT-4 and a translator that is available from the Greenlandic Language Council, which is the only one that was basically doing something until now. So we produced 50 random sentences that we translated with all these algorithms from Danish to Greenlandic. We also took 50 random sentences translated from Greenlandic to Danish, and then we asked the human evaluators to score them with bad, average, or good. And it's important for me to say that Until now, we haven't showed this evaluation data, but it also goes up to the website today, so you can actually go in and look at the data. And as you can see here, this is how it looked like. And the evaluators only knew there was ARC 1, ARC 2, ARC 3, ARC 4. So they didn't know what kind of algorithm was behind the different translations in this evaluation. So the result, and we are pretty happy about that, looked like this. And as you can see, we score almost above 70% of all the sentences that the algorithm behind Sermitsiaq translated was scored with a good score. And if you compare it with GPT-4, not so good. And the same goes basically also for the translator from the Greenlandic Language Council. I won't say so much about this, but it's more important to hear how Masaana and his team is using it now and how it's making an impact on a day-to-day basis.
So I need to put it into perspective, because everything is translated in Greenland. It's not only work, it's all the signs in the stores. Just when you enter a store, it stands in Greenlandic and Danish. So everybody's doing translation every day. Most of our public sector is actually Danish people coming to work in Greenland. And how many Danish people speak Greenlandic? Not many. So they also need this tool to operate in Greenland, and we're actually making it available. What we've done is that we've taken this AI translator and put it into our subscription. We could have done a separate business and made a lot of money in a very short time selling it separately, but this data came from journalism. So we thought, let's take the money and give it back to journalism. So we put this AI into our subscription, so it's very cheap. So businesses buy it for their employees to use, and they go as low as 39 kroners per user. So they get access to all our all our newspapers, all our content, and also this translator. But the money goes directly back into our newspaper and our production, so it doesn't go anywhere else. So we're pretty proud of that part. We've just a fast example on how we use it internally. As I said before, it's 2 to 4 hours for a translation, because we have a lot of things that are translated. A headline story is now 8 minutes out when it's done. So it's really, really fast, and it helps us a lot, and we're able to compete again. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Masaana. Thank you, Lars. I was wondering, Masaana, can you give any examples of what this means kind of for your day-to-day work in the newsroom?
Well, it makes it easier because we have Greenlandic journalists, we also have Danish journalists, and they operate in both languages, but they don't speak both languages, most of them. So if you have a source coming to us or writing us an email in Greenlandic, the Danish journalist is able to fastly put it in through this translator, and then get an overview of what are they saying, is it important, who is it for, and where could I take this? And if it's important, if they evaluate it and say this is important, they give it to a translator to get like a proofreading of it. But it's very accurate, so mostly we don't need that actually.
Mm. So your work with human translators must be ending?
No. I don't think so. I think as a lot of AI, I think it forces us to be better at what we do, because as a journalist, you can't just be good at writing anymore. You have to understand journalism really good to use an AI to create content, and that's the same thing with this translator. You have to be good at the language and use it to make it even better as a tool.
Mm. And has this kind of given you an appetite of integrating more AI tools in your work?
Of course it has. And we're keeping up our collaboration and keeping on working together, so yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
And Lars, I know this is kind of a favorite case of yours. You've been wanting to talk about this. Why is this case so important to you?
Because I think it's a great case of looking at AI and see how actually we can do something good for our society as a whole in Greenland, but also that there's a lot of media companies out there that has this trove of training data themselves, and instead of handing it over to ChatGPT or OpenAI or whatever, do it yourself. It's possible to do all the modeling yourself and have the IP inside of your own media house. So that's why I think it's a great case. And also I think there's a lot of languages out there that needs this. One thing is Greenlandic. We are in Denmark. Denmark is a small language from a global perspective, and Greenlandic is much smaller. And there are a lot of languages out there where machine translation or AI translation is not possible right now. So I think it's that's why I love it. Also, we are doing something good with AI here.
Yeah, definitely. Do we have any short questions? We have one question down here. Would you like, I'll throw it for you. Oh, would you like to do the honors? No? Okay.
You do it.
Almost.
Thank you. That's super interesting. I work with tiny language departments at the university.
Could you hold it?
Sorry. I work with the tiny language departments at the university, so I run into the people saying this doesn't work in Greenlandic, this doesn't work in Persian, etc. Quick questions. Does it work? You've trained it on journalistic text. Does it work on other types of tests as well? Have you looked into that?
Well, yes, it does. But as most things, it has its flaws,
Sure.
and that's okay. We're keeping on developing it, but for what we use it for, and for most day-to-day use for the Greenlandic and Danish people in Greenland, it's very much enough. Oh, yes.
But of course, we're looking into further improve the model, and that could be into legislative content, or it could be like within marketing. I think marketing. Not that close to journalism, but maybe. Yep. Sorry. But that's just a question of the training data, basically.
And speaking of good, any thoughts on opening it up for education?
What?
Opening it up for education, which is
we have.
even poorer than journalism.
We have. We are in constant talks with the University of Greenland, also other departments, but what we're talking to them about is how can we best use it, because if we just give it, we have a university degree in translation in Greenlandic. So if we just give it there and they just start using it, how will it affect it? So we're talking to them how are we going to use this in the university, in the schools, in primary schools, and so on.
Thank you.
So no problem.
We have a question here in the front row.
Hi, thank you. This is a question for MediaCatch. How do you respond to media outlets that don't want to be caught today, that doesn't want to be indexed by you or automatically read by you? Have you encountered that problem and formulated an answer?
In this case, we've done it together with Sermitsiaq. So it's their training data. We don't do anything that we're not allowed to do.
No, I understand. But in general?
In general, we don't have any cases like that because we do it within the law of what we're allowed to do. And in this case, we could of course have built this algorithm ourselves without talking to Sermitsiaq if we have done it in the pirate way, but that doesn't make sense to do. So that's also why it's not full of the algorithm is not full of content that we don't have the rights for. It's based on 20 years of training data from Sermitsiaq.
Exactly. Just to point it out, we've only used our own articles. So everything that we put into this is coming from Greenlandic journalists from Sermitsiaq, and the money goes directly back to their work. So and there's no people benefiting other than the journalists. So
and they own the model.
Yeah.
To be honest, we don't own it.
All the way.
We're just a service provider for them. So it's their model, it's their business. We just develop the model.
We have one last short question right here.
Hi, I was just wondering on the articles that you publish without having an editor read through first, do you ever get any public reaction from those? Or how does the public
Everything is looked through by a publisher. or
Everything.
an editor. Yeah, we still have translators. We actually haven't cut down on it. We're actually looking into expanding, because this helps us and this helps gain business, to be honest. But everything that we write and everything that we put through this is read by a human being before it's sent out. But it makes it much faster. It makes our work faster. We still need humans to look it and proofread it, but it's way better and it's way faster.
Do you label it?
We write that we use AI within translation. So yes, we do.
That was it. Thank you so much, Masaana Egede, Lars Damsgaard Nielsen.
Thank you.
Give them a hand.